This is why you need to be careful with plantar fasciitis advice on social media.
What's that? What's that, brother?
Popping all those fascial knots along the heel. Those are not knots. Those are pyogenic papules. They're normal. They have nothing to do with plantar fasciitis. You can't pop them. I'm not sure why you'd want to pop them because rubbing the foot really has nothing to do with plantar fasciitis recovery. Also, the term plantar fasciitis has been outdated for about 20 years, so he didn't even really get the name right. We called it fasciitis because we thought it had to do with inflammation. Turns out that's not the case. Now it's just plantar heel pain or pain on the bottom of your foot. That's why absolute rest, ice, and anti-inflammatories aren't recommended in guidelines anymore. This is the problem with plantar fasciitis videos on social media. It's a lot of foot rubbing, not a lot of actual guideline-based information. And since most advice for this problem sucks on here, I'm gonna make a good video showing how I use this guideline to treat this in my practice. Stay tuned for part 2.